911 to lure police. That's what investigators say about a man shot by an officer.
23-year-old Devin Johnson survived the shooting yesterday. As Angela Ingram tells us live, the city's police chief says that the officers followed their training. Right, Angela?
And that's absolutely right. That is what Chief Isaac is saying. And he said that Devin Johnson may have some underlying mental health issues, but he would not elaborate on what those were out of respect for Johnson's family. Interestingly enough, he also said that Johnson has no prior criminal history. Still, he says his officers did what they were trained to do and that they had every right to defend themselves against a person who was approaching them quickly with a knife.
Bramble Park.
Okay, we're at in the park.
At the top of the board.
Chief Eliot Isaac says the man who made a 911 call about a person acting wildly with a knife was in fact the person holding the weapon. When two CPD officers responded to Bramble Park in Madisonville, the chief says 23-year-old Devin Johnson was armed with a butcher knife, refused to put it down, and kept moving towards the officers.
A knife is a deadly weapon. An officer absolutely has the right to defend himself and defend those around him.
The incident started yesterday morning around 10:20. Officer Al Brown and Officer Kevin Brown were the ones who responded. Officer Al Brown fired several shots hitting Johnson. Officer Kevin Brown kicked the knife away and, according to the police chief, began CPR on Johnson. FOP President Dan Hils says the incident is similar to a phone call made by a suspect to lure in CPD officer Sonny Kim.
Here we are in Madisonville, where Sonny Kim lost his life in 2015, and this person did it exactly the same way. He called in the police, called him in to ambush him, called him in to murder him.
The chief and Hils both say the officers acted properly and according to their training.
And it certainly isn't our responsibility to be cut and maybe even killed. You only have seconds or even less. You might even have just a fragment of a second to stop a would-be killer.
Now, Johnson is still in the hospital. He is in critical but stable condition, and those officers who were involved in this shooting are on paid administrative leave, which is customary in officer-involved shootings. Reporting live from the Criminal Investigation Section, Angela Ingram, Local 12 News. Kyle and Cammie, back to you.
All right, Angela, thank you. And the officer who did not fire the shots, Officer Kevin Brown, was involved in a high-profile incident last year. You might remember that he used a taser on an 11-year-old girl who was shoplifting at Kroger. An arbitrator said that Brown did not violate the department's use of force policy.
Detectives